The Galactic Overlord, Emperor of the Universe, the Tyrannical Frost Demon, Purple Hitler. There are many monikers this entity of evil goes by, but few names capture the truly terrifying chill his opponents feel quite as accurately as Frieza. And in achieving the status of undisputed dictator over all of creation, Frieza has squashed numerous opponents, many of which dared to stand in his way. Half of the appeal Frieza had was his immense power, and how it seemingly kept on growing in scale. So much so, the show pretty much gave up in power levels after the Frieza portion of the story. Not unlike a mountain resisting a light breeze, Frieza would laugh in the face of numerous adversaries, leading to their inevitable death and utter embarrassment. Frieza took great pleasure in exacting the punishment he dished out, and I gotta say, I enjoyed watching it too. With that said, I'm totally not Mark, and this is the top 10 times Frieza embarrassed his opponent. Number 10. We are first introduced to Nail as the attendant to the Grand Elder Guru. We later learn that not only is he a capable, proud fighter, but is by far the strongest Namekian on the planet before Piccolo was revived, standing tall with an officially stated power level of 42,000. This reading places him on a pillar far above the likes of Zarbon and Dodoria, who were at the time Frieza's strongest elite soldiers. To give you an idea, that's over 5 times stronger than Goku was when he got back from Snake Way to face Vegeta. Up until we, the audience, see his showdown with Frieza, Nail had not once demonstrated his power in any measure, showing tremendous restraint and poise when in the face of true adversity. However, in an effort to buy time for the Earthlings to make a wish on the Namekian Dragon Balls, Nail takes Frieza to the other side of the planet to fight. What followed was one of the most one-sided fights we had ever seen in the show up until this point. Reading Nail's power level, Frieza remarks at how strong Nail actually is and even mentions how he'd be a valuable addition to his forces. The true scale of the situation isn't realized, however, until Frieza reveals how strong he is in comparison. 530,000. Requiring only 1/10 of his power to defeat Nail, going as far as to say he will only use one arm when fighting him. The once composed Nail powers up and explodes forward with a swift chop to Frieza's neck, only to be met by that same icy stare that so many before had witnessed. As promised, with one arm, Frieza rips off his extended arm, causing Nail to collapse to the floor in agony. Frieza does get a few more hits in, but it's in this moment when Nail realizes the sheer terror he is up against. This entry features so low because Nail never really thought that he could win. This was all an effort to buy time for the Earthlings. However, I don't believe for 1 second he thought it was going to be this much of a defenseless thrashing. Number 9. Frieza's affiliation with the Saiyan race is well documented. A warrior race that once answered to no one became the lackeys of the crazed purple demigod. For those of you who don't know, the character Frieza was based off of a very specific type of person in Japan around the late 80s to early 90s, real estate speculators, which Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, stated as being the worst sort of people, due primarily to the financial strife they caused families and other people in Japan. Frieza was hell-bent on becoming the unquestioned ruler over all the universe, with seemingly hundreds of planets already under his thumb. However, the universe is vast, and Frieza has a finite lifespan. So, to remedy this issue, he enlisted the help of the Saiyans from planet Vegeta. And this is where things go south for the Saiyans in a big way. Effective and efficient in their role, the Saiyans conquered numerous worlds across the galaxies for Frieza. But he began to notice something. The Saiyans were growing stronger, far surpassing his most reliable forces. He began to think, in large enough numbers, and if gone unchecked, these Saiyans could cause him some serious trouble. It was this insecure thought that led to the extinction of planet Vegeta. With an energy blast the size of a small planet, with one finger, Frieza hurls it towards the world of the Saiyans. Standing between his home and Frieza's blast was Bardock, the father of Goku, who fires a powerful energy blast towards Frieza only for it to have no effect. He realizes the gravity of the situation in that moment. Frieza's blast then erases him and his planet from existence. 4 Saiyans remained after the attempted extinction: Raditz, Nappa, the Saiyan Prince Vegeta, and Kakarot, also known as Goku, who was sent to planet Earth moments before the planet was destroyed. Quite a humbling time in Saiyan history. Number 8. As many of you know, Gohan is a very entertaining character, even being heralded as the fighter with the most latent potential numerous times throughout the series. So naturally, when his friends are in danger, in this situation Krillin and Piccolo, you would think he would make a sizable difference when he cuts loose. And he does save Krillin and Piccolo, but that's about it. Gohan's effort to rescue Krillin from drowning at the hands of Frieza has got to be one of the coolest moments in the show's history, only made better with the release of Kai and its superior voice acting. But moments like that only set us up for a fall, and a fall Gohan certainly took once Frieza added some much needed reality to the mix. Frieza said it best himself:
None of you have even the slightest chance of escape.
And even after a Zenkai boost, once Gohan was healed by Dende, he still stood no chance against the seemingly bottomless pit of power that Frieza possesses. Number 7. Dragon Ball Super, along with a revitalized interest in the series, brought with it an old friend, Frieza. Frieza, having just been revived, is all like, if I train, I could reach a power level of 1 million. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Super Saiyan Goku was like 150 million, and that was ages ago. Times have changed, and so have the standards of fighting, Frieza. You're in your base form, and you expect to beat Super Saiyan I stand corrected? Now I know what you're thinking. Gohan is weaker in this scene than he had been in the past, and let's face it, he isn't the most prideful person in the bunch either. But this entry isn't specifically for Gohan alone. Prior to this decimation, the Z-Warriors had to hold off Frieza's soldiers for a considerable amount of time, during which many of them became tired, starting to lose control of their respective situations. Gohan, in many respects, was the glue that held it all together, even going as far as to protect Piccolo against the likes of Sashimi and Haguma in Super and the movie Resurrection F. The point I'm trying to make here is, Gohan was far stronger than the current rung of fighters Earth had to offer, without Goku and Vegeta present. The others looked to Gohan for the victory. And as soon as Frieza gets out of his chair, he added much needed perspective to everyone's situation in his base form, resulting in Gohan calling Vegeta and Goku for help. Number 6. This scene is purely exclusive to the anime. In the manga, Frieza arrives and the interaction with Nail and Guru plays out as you would expect. However, in the anime, we are treated to this ambush by 3 Namekian warriors who are, for lack of a better term, cocky. These nameless warriors stand much taller and bigger than the smaller 5-foot-tall Frieza. Once surrounded, Frieza lets them know that their power levels are insignificant in comparison to his own. But needless to say, they do attack anyway, despite Frieza and Nail's best warnings. And how does Frieza choose to counterattack? By breathing. Frieza took these guys out by breathing on them. After killing 2 or 3 of them with a simple exhale of the lungs, Frieza grabs the last one by the neck, gripping tighter and tighter. Once he is satisfied that he doesn't know any of the information he requires, he decides to drop him from a height towards Nail on the ground below. Moments before the wounded Namekian is to crash onto the floor near Nail, he is killed by a blast sent through his chest by Frieza. And unfortunately for our next entry, Frieza was far from done dishing out these beatings on Namekians. Number 5. The funny thing regarding this interaction with Piccolo is that he is by far the strongest character in the series up until this point. Well, except Frieza, but we'll get to that. Having just been revived using the Namekian Dragon Balls, he finds himself for the first time on his home world. Suddenly, he senses a fading power off in the distance on the wastelands of Namek. He finds Nail, having been left for dead by the hands, or should I say, hand of Frieza. With what little strength he has left, Nail explains that there is a forbidden technique that their people are capable of, merging. Using this technique, Nail and Piccolo can pool their powers together and magnify their strength, creating a super Namekian warrior, far stronger than the 2 warriors would be separated. Once the dust of the merger has settled, Piccolo is left stunned by his own power, leaving us with this wonderful scene.
Yes, 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 yes! I can win! I feel great! I can do this!
Yeah, you get the picture. Needless to say, the man's confident, and really, so he should be. At this point, he's the strongest Z-Warrior in the history of the show. He arrives just in the nick of time on the battlefield to confront Frieza, touting a power level of over 1 million. And while Piccolo puts up a great fight initially, Frieza reveals that this is only his second form, and that he has 2 others still remaining. Piccolo believes that he's bluffing, but ho boy, he wasn't. Paying a quick tribute to the movie Alien, Frieza demonstrates how monstrous he can be while still technically not trying at all, proving that he is still much faster and stronger than Piccolo could ever imagine. But don't worry Piccolo, you'll be the strongest again one day, for literally one day. Number 4. To feel the full brunt of this one, let me break it down. This was, in a sense, a long time coming for Goku. Such was the plot at the time, Goku has gotten too overconfident in his physical abilities. Having long since surpassed the likes of Frieza, Cell, and Majin Buu, Goku is supremely confident leading up to his rematch with the recently revived Frieza. Having achieved a new god form in Super Saiyan Blue, he has more than a few transformations to rely now on in battle. Frieza's side of the story began as he was revived, seeking out revenge on the scourge that laid waste to him all those years ago. But before he decides to go confront Goku and his friends, he decides for the first time in his life to train. For those of you out there that do not know, Frieza's race isn't significantly more powerful than any other race in the universe. Frieza and his family simply have a mutation that makes them uniquely strong. So what happens when a prodigy trains in earnest? A substantial amount is gained, it seems. But I'll get to that. Once all is said and done, Goku arrives on the battlefield face to face with what we then knew as Frieza's final form. Frieza says,
Go on, channel that Super Saiyan glow I hate so much.
to which Goku replies,
To be honest, Frieza, I'm not so sure I need to yet.
Goku isn't taking Frieza seriously. After they fight for a while, Goku powers up into his Super Saiyan Blue form, his then current max power output. To which then Frieza answers back with his newly acquired golden form. And guess what? Stamina aside, this form is stronger than Goku's current max output at the time in Super Saiyan Blue. There are few rules in war, and war is exactly what Frieza considered this battle with Goku. Using some cheap tactics, Frieza has Goku on death's door, with Goku having no one but himself to blame for letting his guard down. He's lucky that Vegeta was there to tag in when he did. What follows is Frieza's victory, destroying the planet with everything on it, ensuring his victory. If Whis wasn't there to provide a temporal do-over, Goku would have had no one else to blame but himself for the loss of planet Earth and all the inhabitants of it. This was a necessary and humbling experience for Goku. Number 3. Vegeta. A man that for the longest time was defined by his pride, always blindly believing that he was the strongest character in the series with very little proof to back it up. It was this level of delusion and arrogance that placed him in many embarrassing and humbling situations, few more prevalent than this one right here. Having just undergone a power-up after the Ginyu Force altercation thanks to a sensu bean provided by Goku, Vegeta's power skyrocketed, fully believing at this time that he was on the cusp of becoming the legendary Super Saiyan. For decades, Vegeta had lived under Frieza's boot heel, having to comply with his every demand. Now having the knowledge that he was the one responsible for murdering his father, his people, and his entire planet, Vegeta feels in this moment, for the first time in his entire life, that he possesses enough strength to vanquish the tyrant that destroyed the world he was destined to rule over. This is the instant where Frieza's main battle begins, looking down murderously at Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin as he contemplates how best to destroy them. Vegeta, while initially taken aback by Frieza's arrival, gathers his senses and announces that he has become a Super Saiyan and will destroy Frieza with the help of Gohan and Krillin once and for all. And to the surprise of even myself, the viewer at the time, Vegeta seems to be doing just that. Frieza's scouter even blows up trying to read his energy level, and that's always a good sign. Confident in meeting the challenge that stood before him, Vegeta then bared witness to the grim reality of just how terrifying Frieza could be. Standing tall with a power level of over 1 million, the Saiyan Prince that was once talking confidently was now as silent as a grave. Until Number 2. Once Frieza unveiled his second form, Vegeta was, by and large, frozen in place, unable to bring himself to do anything. He watched on as Gohan, Krillin, and even Piccolo challenged the monster Frieza as he continued to grow his power through transformation a further 2 times. But the Saiyan Prince had a plan many would concede as being a pretty good one. Well, on paper anyway. Having noticed that his last increase was substantial and far from ordinary, Vegeta came to the conclusion that he was edging closer and closer to the fabled Super Saiyan state. Thus, he felt one last push was needed to tip him over the edge, across that threshold, and over into the realm of legends. Sounds good, right? Well, this is where things get a little dicey. You see, in order for this power-up to take effect, Vegeta would need to sustain a near mortal wound or injury and be healed quickly thereafter. Sounds simple enough. Krillin provides the blast through the torso, so gaping wound almost certain to kill him? Check. Now all that remained was for Dende to use his newly acquired healing abilities and all should be dandy. Well, Dende recalled that it was Vegeta who was responsible for killing much of his people. So initially, Dende refuses Vegeta's request to heal him, flying away, leaving him to die like Vegeta did with so many of his other Namekian brothers. However, shortly after, Dende is convinced to heal Vegeta moments before the Saiyan Prince was to die. Wow, imagine if Vegeta had died there. He would have been killed by Krillin. Finally, Vegeta has fully recovered. Now at the zenith of his abilities, Vegeta approaches Frieza, now in his final form, confident, claiming for all to hear that he has finally become what he has wanted for so long, to be the legendary Super Saiyan. Finally, he can defeat Frieza, or so he thinks. While Vegeta's power had grown substantially, Frieza was barely using a fraction of his full strength. Unable to scratch the all-powerful Frieza, the gravity of his actions hits the Saiyan Prince. That Frieza is just too monstrous for him or anyone. That at no point was he any match for him, and that any effort or hope he had ever had was completely worthless and unfounded. It is in that moment the Prince of all Saiyans sheds tears. Tears that signify how hopeless the situation actually is for him. Before his death at the hands of Frieza, he pleads with Goku to let go of any kindness he has and to avenge the Saiyan race. With that, he breathes his last breath, dead on the wastelands of planet Namek, humbled by the ultimate evil, Frieza. Number 1. There might have been some contention between what would get the number 1 spot on this list, but in reality, this was the moment that inspired me to make this video in the first place. All throughout this arc, Frieza had been portrayed as an unstoppable monster, relentless, vindictive, and destructive with an eloquent speaking voice which made for an even more unsettling character. But, as anyone who has watched any show, as a viewer we try to anticipate what will happen next, how the hero will overcome the villain. We as viewers look out for common tropes in shows. At this point in the story, Frieza has outmatched every other character in the cast. But what's more is while doing so, was barely even using a fraction of his power. When Goku shows up to the fight, he too is stronger than all the other cast of characters by a substantial margin. So in the viewer's headspace, Goku and Frieza are relatively unknown but large quantities. The fight begins and the battle seems to be going modestly but well for Goku, maintaining his composure and getting a few good hits in. Eventually, things settle down when Frieza announces that while he has enjoyed the workout, he's beginning to grow tired of toying with him. He claims that if he were to power up to 50%, it would suffice to grind Goku into space dust. For all of us, the audience, we know that Goku was not fighting at full power either, so this, at least for us, acts as the bookmark for when the fight starts to become more serious. I remember this situation vividly from when I was sitting alongside my brother watching on Toonami, way back in the early 2000s. The fight resumes and Goku is immediately put on the back foot, taking a much more severe thrashing than he had in the past, getting absolutely no offense in on Frieza. However, almost at the same time, both myself and my brother reassure each other that Goku might not be faring well, but he has still yet to use the Kaioken technique, putting the odds still very much in Goku's favor, having that multiplier in his back pocket. And then, a bombshell is dropped. As the guys at King Kai's place are watching the fight unfold, King Kai announces that it isn't looking good for Goku, to which Ten Shinhan claims, like myself and my brother did, that Goku still hasn't utilized the Kaioken technique and therefore should still be fine. Cutting in, King Kai then corrects him by saying that Goku has been using the Kaioken technique all along. As kids watching this for the first time, that revelation completely floored us. We never saw it coming. The move that we treated as Goku's ace in the hole for many battles suddenly was worthless against Frieza. Myself and my brother looked at each other. Both of us now understood how insignificant Goku was in comparison to Frieza while only using half of his full power. Goku, who had been confident up until that point to realize the gravity of this situation, humbled by Frieza. But not only that, even we the viewers underestimated Frieza's enormous power. He not only embarrassed the Z Warriors on Namek and at King Kai's place, but also Goku and many of the viewers watching at home around the world too. It was a moment I will never forget the feeling of, and it is unquestionably, in my view, the top moment Frieza embarrassed his opponent. So guys, did I miss out on your favorite moment? Or do you think I got the order wrong? If you guys would like to see more content and top 10s like this one, don't forget to leave a like and suggestions in the comment section down below on what you would like me to cover next. And maybe, think about hitting that subscribe button so that you can be the first person to know when I make a new video. With that said, this has been the top 10 times Frieza embarrassed his opponent. I've been Totally Not Mark, and as always, thank you so much for watching.